Hi, I'm Scott Rocknak, and I'm running for Maine State Senate District 12. We're going to be going to Augusta today, but we're going to take a slightly unorthodox way to get there. We'll go by boat, but I got a feeling we're going to have some treacherous seas along the way. Instead of charts, I'm going to be using just a few of the records from the past legislature and some of the ones before that. They're not particularly very good, so I'm a little concerned what we're going to be running into. Let's find out.
The more I look through the bills that have been introduced over the years and the ones that have actually passed, and the voting records and the legislative record, I can see the cumulative results and why we are where we are now. Interesting to see the difference between the seated politician and the campaigning politician. For example, I find it amusing to see the expression, "I'm fighting for you, I'm fighting for this." How could you be fighting if everyone on your side is in control? Who are you fighting? It isn't a fight if you have an imbalance of power. It's essentially just bullying. One side gets its way, and that's not a balanced government. A truly representational government is a divided government. The smiling faces with the great sayings on the palm cards are not going to fix what the smiling faces have already done.
We're facing nearly $1 billion shortfall coming up in 26 and 27. That's a nice little present. It's outlined in the Constitution of Maine that we have a balanced budget. Spending needs to be offset by income. We are now on what's called a structural shortfall, meaning we are not adhering to a balanced budget.
If times are difficult now, imagine what's going to happen if all the taxes increase.
The reality is we are where we are because of the past several legislatures. It's been dominated by one party, and it's sort of been a feeding frenzy. The problem is now the chickens have come home to roost. We have almost nearly $1 billion shortfall. It's going to have to come from somewhere. It's either going to be cutting programs, increasing taxes, or a hybrid of both. It's a mess. Whoever's walking into the legislature now has to work differently than they have before. This needs to be fixed. We have a constitution in Maine, and part of that constitution says we have to have a balanced budget. It's no more free-for-all.
As I think about this journey, I realize that Maine is not in a good position when compared to the rest of the country to weather this storm.
Our taxes are the fourth highest in the nation.
House prices have doubled in the past 9 years.
Our state government salaries have exploded.
24%
increase, one of the largest increases in decades. Well, we're number one in something, and that's property taxes. Number one in the country.
And a 72% increase in the state budget in 6 years. In the end, the costs come back to us. We have the 6th highest electrical rate in the nation. Offshore wind is going to triple or quadruple the energy costs. We saw earlier that a huge part of our budget is the Department of Human Services. Yet we are number 4 in the country for maltreated children. And we're number 5 in the country for children in foster care. Why is Maine falling off the tracks? These are all things that need to be addressed in the next legislature.
If you look at the F rating that Maine got from the Cato Institute, you'll see that there are Democrats and Republicans in New England that have scored much, much better than Maine has. And it's not like they have something against Maine. If you go back, you can see that there were B's and A's. We stand out in the nation near the bottom as an F rating.
To the rest of the nation, business is near the bottom on many fronts. Infrastructure is number 40. The economy is in the bottom half at number 35. We're number 9 for the highest costs in healthcare nationwide. Housing costs are up 58% over the past 6 years. 9% of that is just the last year alone. Our education is also near the bottom at number 43. We have some of the highest taxes in the nation. Electrical energy is the 6th highest in the nation. Solutions will include lowering energy costs. Healthcare will require a change in the capital expenditure thresholds and exemptions, and then re-examine regulations. Relax zoning rules on housing, modify the Fair Housing Act, and certain regulations. Study the success stories in the other 49 states that in several cases exceed us. Property tax has several approaches, re-examining the property tax, including revenue sharing program.
The issue here is that we're setting ourselves up to drive off a physical cliff. You might be saying these all look like scare tactics, but the reality is this is all front and center real numbers. We have to change this
Otherwise, we're going to leave our kids nothing in the state. You want to give them another reason to leave? Well, here's one now. So let's get this changed.
If you don't like what you see, it's because the legislature that's in place has been voting by block for years. It's time to make a change.
I don't think we want our new state saying to be, as Maine goes, so does the nation. And then they run away.
I'd be honored to have your vote November 5th or before. I'm Scott Rocknak, and I approve this message.